Exactly.
right? Learn a little bit Torah.
Exactly. At least the people here are told us. All right. So now we have focused our efforts on the Rambam. Okay. So the Rambam says the following. Kesha based in here it is. I know you see my screen, I hope.
Yes, I do.
I'll make it a little bigger there. Okay. The Rambam says following in red. Kesha based in niskaking ligvos hanezek minichse hamazek. When the based in is empowered to collect for the nizak the money of the mazik. So what does the based in do? Govin, plural, govin mina metaltlin techila. We, the based in, collect from the metaltlin first. Vim lo hayu lo metaltlin klal o shelo hayu metaltlin nekol nezik. And if the mazik doesn't have enough metaltlin to pay for his damages, at all or part, then and only then Govin Hasham and Akar and Yafish Hamazik. Then and only then do we go to the property of the Mazik. V'kolzman shemase metaltalin afilu subin ein niskakin l'karga. And as long as we find metaltalin, even if it's the worst metaltalin, subin, we're not going to touch his karka. So the Rambam says the Beis Din does not collect from karka, unless the mazik doesn't have metaltalin. Fine, that's what he says. Now, there's two ways of reading the Rambam, and this is where the whole focus of our attention is at this point, because it's going to now spill into the Shulchan Aruch, the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch. One way to read the Rambam, the way the Sma read it, was, look, the Rambam is just trying to stop you from thinking that the halacha is like Reb Huna, who he says you collect from Kesef or from Karka. And he's saying that's not true, the Rambam. You don't collect from Karka first. You can collect from Metaltalin. You don't need to do Ket. You don't need to do Meitav. You just collect from Metaltalin first. Okay, that's one way. And according to that way, the Rambam's saying nothing new. He's holding like the Rif and the Rush, and he's holding Rav Papa. That really the Mazik can give what he wants, but unless that's because the halacha is like Papa, and you shouldn't make a mistake to think the halacha is like Rav Huna, who would say no, you don't. You collect from land first. Okay, o kesev o meta. Good. That's one way of reading it. That's the conservative way of reading it. Now the Shach and the Raman, or all these other wonderful, not the Ran, excuse me, all these other people are going to read the Rambam in a more direct way to say that no, the Rambam is telling you not that you can't collect from Meitav first, but he's telling you you always collect from Metaltalin first, even if the Mazik doesn't want to, even if the Mazik wants to give Meitav, the Nizak can say, I want Metaltalin. So that's the din, that you first collect from Metaltalin. Now, on this side, we can make life very simply. First of all, we're going to focus on the Gra, but we see here, number one, that the Rambam does not talk about Kesef. Okay, that's the first problem that the Gra brings up. Where is Kesef in this din? Metaltalin is given before Karka. If we're going to read it that way, that's how we're on this side of the fence. We're reading it. He means always you must give Metaltalin before Karka. What about Kesef? That's the first question. Okay. The second question is, where did the Rambam get the din that Kesef or Metaltalin, Kesef and or Metaltalin is greater than Karka? Those are the two questions that are on the floor here, according to the people that are learning the Rambam Dafka. Okay? So basically what we have to do now, not we, I mean, Alabai we could do it, but the Meforshim have to produce for the Rambam the din of Kesef and Metaltalin being equal, because if Kesef was greater than Metaltalin, the Rambam should have said it. So we presume that Kesef is equal to Metaltalin because he didn't say anything about Kesef. And then we have to produce also a source that says Kesef and Metaltalin is greater than Karka. That is our goal. So we have an inverted triangle. On the top of the triangle, we have Kesef and Metaltalin. The Mazik can give either one. and only if he doesn't have kesef metaltalin do we collect from karka. That's the stated aim of the meforshim at this point. Okay, so that's it. Kesef and metaltalin on top. Only if you don't have them, then you go and you get meitav. Good. The gra now. Let's go here and just show you these businesses here. Okay, so here I tried to make a little chart just to summarize, what the possibilities in the Rambam are. The first, we just said, the Rambam, one possibility is to say that the Rambam is merely saying over Rev Papa. But why does he have to say that you don't go to the Meitav first? Because Rev Huna holds that you do get Meitav or Kesef first, and only if he doesn't have Kesef and Meitav, do you give Metaltal and a Fil Subin. So according to that first way of reading the Rambam, the conservative way of reading the Rambam is just holding like Reb Papa. The Mazik can give what he wants, and he's just telling us, don't think that the Nizak has any right to Meitav, like Rev Huna will tell you, or the Pasuk will tell you. That's all. Now, the other people, including the Shach and the Beis Yosef, all these other people want to read the Rambam in a very dafka way. They're going to have to produce, and that's the second part of this chapter, they're going to have to produce cases, a source in the Gemara that says Kesef and Metaltalin is greater than Meitav, i.e., if you have Kesef Metaltalin, you must give it, and only then do you give Meitav. That's going to be their job. Okay, and we're going to have three ways that we're going to produce that din. Three different people going to produce the din that Kesef and Metaltalin are greater than Meitav. One, and we'll just say them over here very quickly. One is the Beis Yosef's way. The second way will be the Shach's way, and the third way will be the Gra. Okay, all three of these people are going to produce this din in the Rambam of Kesef Metaltalin over Meitav. Clear? Okay?
Yes.
That's our goal. Now, how do they do it? So the Beis Yosef never quotes the Rambam. He's just writing on the Tur. And the way he did it was by saying that the Tur held that Nezikin is Balchov. And in the case of Balchov, Kesef has a over Karka. Why? Because since you gave Kesef as a Malva, you have a right to get Kesef back from the Lova. And you're also going to have to say that Kesef and Metaltalin are equal. Okay? So that's what you're going to have to do. So what he did is he took the case of Balchov, and he said, look, the Tur is producing this din by importing the din from Balchov. And Balchov, we see that Kesef and Metaltalin Kesef and Metaltalin are closer to Kesef than Karka, right? As Rav Papa said, because you can convert it very easily. So that din gets pushed into Nezikin, and there we had, okay? Now, how that gets done, he doesn't really tell us all the details. Is that Reb Papa? Is that Reb Huna? He doesn't tell us all the details. The Shach has a different way of producing that result. He's going to produce the result by making a interesting reading of Reb Huna and then showing that Reb Papa disagrees on one point. How does he do that? Let's just refresh our memories. Reb Huna said, O Kesef, O Meitav. So the Shach meant that was called the hierarchical or. That means you must give Kesef, and only if you don't have Kesef do you give Meitav. That's how he's learning the or statement. Okay? Kesef, O Meitav. Comes along Reb Nachman and says, what do you do with Subin? So the Shach says, the Reb Huna says that's b'delay slay. Okay, what's lay mean? So the Shach explains it means when you don't have Kesef. So in other words, you can give or kesef or meitav. If you don't have kesef, then you can give meitav. You only give meitav if you don't have kesef. What do you do with shabbat kesef filosuba? That's when you don't have kesef. So it works out that there's a triple hierarchy, we said. Kesef number one. If you don't have kesef, you give subin, any type of metaltalin. And if you don't have both, then you give meitav. And that was the shita of the Ramah. According to the Shach, that's the Ramah will hold like Rav Huna. That really the first thing you give them, Ramah with a ham, sorry, the first thing you do is give us kesef. If you don't have kesef, you give metaltalin. And if you don't have kesef metaltalin, you give meitav. Where do we get the Rambam, says the Shach? Very simple. We look at Reb Papa. Reb Papa argues Rav Huna only on one point. Whereas Rav Huna said, if you don't have only if you don't have kesef, give metaltalin, i.e. there's a priority of kesef or metaltalin. Rav Papa will say no, kesef and metaltalin are equal. But he'll agree that they both are greater than meitav. That's it. And there's the Rambam according to the Shach. Okay, so Rav Huna said, oh kesef o meitav. Rav Nachman said, what do you do with subin? That's when you don't have kesef. But Eino Hanami, both kesef and subin are greater than meitav. How did the Rambam hold? He holds like Reb Papa. Reb Papa also holds that meitav karka is the worst. Karka is the worst because you're limited in the amount of buyers. But metaltalin is great because you can go from one place to the next and cash it into kesef, and that metaltalin is equal to kesef. So that's how the Shach solves the Rambam's problem. He takes Rav Huna, he makes a triple hierarchy, and he says the only thing that the Rav Papa was arguing about was the relationship of metaltalin to kesef. That's all. You with me on that?
Yes.
Okay. So now what we're trying to do is understand the Gra very clearly. The Gra, again, is going to get to the result. He has to because he's trying to explain the Rambam. The question, though, but the way he does it is very, very different than Rav Huna. Oh, excuse me, than either the Beis Yosef or the Shach. What does he say? He says, you're right, let's investigate the machlokus between Rav Papa and Rav Huna. Okay, we'll start with Rav Huna. Unlike the Shach, he says that when Rav Huna said, oh, kesef and meitav, excuse me, first of all, he agrees with the Shach as far as this hierarchical or. O kesef, o meitav, o kesef, o meitav. Meaning, you must give kesef, and if you don't have kesef, then you give meitav. That's what Rav Huna said. Came along Rav Nachman and said, what do you do with subin? So Rav Huna said, b'delei slay, and the Gra says that means b'delei slay subin, you give meitav. So really the question was, what do you do when Rav Nachman said, what do you do with subin? He meant, wait a minute, you can't tell me that there's only kesef, and if you don't have kesef, there's meitav. Because if maybe if you don't have kesef, then I know you can give metaltalin, and I can't give metaltalin. I can't give metaltalin when I give meitav. That doesn't make sense. That's a bias kasha. So he says you're right. He says when you don't have meitav, then you give metaltalin. Okay, but Eino Hanami, metaltalin is equal to kesef. Okay, so let's go again. He's going to say like this, the Gra. First of all, Rav Huna holds that metaltalin is equal to kesef. And he holds that you have an unequal law. O kesef, o meitav. O kesef, o meitav meant you have to give kesef, and if you don't have kesef, you give meitav. What do you do with metaltalin? Metaltalin is like kesef. And when you don't have, excuse me, I didn't say that right. When you don't have metaltalin, I'm sorry, I didn't say that right. When you don't have metaltalin, you give meitav. I'm sorry. Let's try that again. That's a little bit tricky there. O kesef o meitav, says Rav Huna, right? You have to give kesef. If you don't have kesef, you must give meitav. So Rav Nachman says, well, what do you do with subin? So he says Subin is given, excuse me, when he said what do you do with Subin, he really meant with, now this was the problem over here in reading that. We're going to have to go through that again. Yeah, let's look at it. Let's look at it again. I lost it. Okay, it's tricky. So here, let's go back over here and let's look at here. Okay, let's read the Gra together. Okay. Okay. So the Gra, here's the Gra. The Gra is on the Rambam. He says, as far as the Torah is concerned, he wants to say the Torah, he's learning the Torah like the standard way of learning the Torah, like the Bach, the Drisha, and the Prisha, not like the Beis Yosef, which means that he learns that the Torah is holding that the Mazik can give Kesem, Metaltalin, or Karka, right? But he makes a chilek between, that's the Gra makes a chilek between the Torah and the Rambam. And he says the Rambam is not the Torah. Okay, right? Because the Rambam, the Lashon of the Rambam is not, there's the din is not totally baratzon amazik. The mazik can't give what he wants, like the Torah says, according to the Gra, but it's not true according to the Rambam. Okay, Venera, the Sphirale, now the Rambam holds Kadas HaRamah. So the Gra says, well, how are we going to get a hierarchy if the Rambam does hold a hierarchy? So where do we see it? So he says, well, it must be that the Rambam holds like the Ramah. Okay. But the calls man sheyesh lo kesef eino yochol liten lo metaltalin velo karka. As long as you have kesef, you can't give metaltalin or karka. V'huadin kasheyesh lo metaltalin the eino yochol liten karka. And if he has metaltalin, you can't give karka. That's the Ramah, right? Now, here's the critical point. But that's not happy. You can't say the Rambam is the Ramah. I mean, that would be very nice. Let the Rambam hold Kesef, then Subin, and then Karka. Why not? No problem. The problem, says the Gra, is that the Rambam never talks about Kesef. And if it was true that Kesef had a priority over Metaltalin, like the Ramah said, then the Rambam should have said it. Right. So that's what that's the Gra. He says, Ella tzarachian lama lo kasav haramam debiyesh lo kesev she'eni yochol liten metaltalin, like the Ramah. You have to say it. You can't be quiet about that. You know, if there's a precedent, then you must say it. So let's do the Gra here. Venera Harambam svarale the metaltalin hare hem kesev. His first move is to say that the Rambam holds that metaltalin is like kesef. That's his first move. And how does he know that? He knows that from the Gemara and Yud Dalet. Okay?
Shum Kesef, Shava Kesef.
Shum Kesef and Shava Kesef. Right. Remember Shum Kesef and Shava Kesef? Shum Kesef and Shava Kesef, they wanted to say that Shava Kesef means that the Beis Din can only collect from Karka. So the Gemara says, wait, how does Shava Kesef mean Karka? So they bring Rav Ashi that Shava Kesef means Karka because it's the only things that Shav'ei Kesef. Metaltalin is Kesef, but Karka is only worth Kesef. It has, in other words, it's the only thing that has value, but it's not Kesef itself. Metaltalin is Kesef. Okay, you with me on that? So from that Gemara, the Gra wants to say, you see, we have a Gemara that says that metaltalin is equal to kesef, and that's how the Rambam holds. That's why the Rambam does not bring the word kesef in, because kesef is not a priority to metaltalin. Kesef is equal to metaltalin from that Gemara. That's his starting point. Okay?
Just to bring in a sugya I'm learning in the morning, which relates to this, there's a Rabbi Yana, he holds Mali Hin Mali Dmeyan. That he holds that money and anything valued of money are exchangeable. It relates to rivers. It relates to if you're going to set a price for something and you want to buy it with cash, then in the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Gimel is that as long as the seller has the produce, you could set a price for the future delivery. Rabbi Yanai says even if he doesn't have the produce, as soon as you give him the cash, it's as if he has the produce because Mali and Mali demand.
Okay, so
do you see there's Mandiam who hold that? Who hold that money
good.
and are exactly the same.
Okay, so good. Okay, the reason why I hesitate is because whenever you switch to a different framework, you have to make sure that the rules that you're using are the same. Okay, that's always the problem. That's like here, for instance, we're in this framework of Malvin Lova. That's very nice. Now, if we switch to Nazikin, the question is Nazikin the same framework as Malvin Lova or not? Okay, so we just have to be very careful. All right, but whatever it is, at this point, the Gemara in Yudalit says that Kesef and Metaltalin are equivalent. Okay, and the thing, and in other words, metaltalin is kesef. There's no real difference between metaltalin and kesef. But karka is not kesef because it's not movable and it's not acceptable, and therefore the only thing you could say is it has value. How much value? Go do an estimation and see what the value is. Okay, so that's good. That's the first step of the Gra, and that's why the Rambam did not talk about Kesef. He doesn't have to talk about Kesef because the Gemara always established on Yudalit that Kesef and Metaltalin are equal. So he talks about Metaltalin, you're supposed to know that they're equal. Fine. Now, that's very good. So we've now equated Kesef with Metaltalin, but now we have to produce another Gemara that's going to make Karka worse than both. That's going to be the second problem. How do we get Makarka to be Karka worse than Kesef and Metaltalin? Where do we see that? Simply, we were learning Rav Huna that Karka is equal to Kesef, not that it's worse than Kesef, right? That's how we were learning Rav Huna. So where are we going to get that? And we were learning Rav Papa that Karka is equal to Kesef and Metaltalin. All three of them are equal. So it's very nice. The Gra says, I answered my first question. Why isn't Kesef mentioned by the Rambam? Because he has a Gemara in Yudalit that equates Kesef and Metaltalin. But now, how am I going to produce a proof for the Rambam that Kesef and Metaltalin is greater than Karka? Where am I going to see it? So now he's going to, and this is where I got a little fouled up. I'm going to read it. Click here. Now he's going to read Rav Huna. Let's see how he reads Rav Huna. Okay? He says, Rav Huna says, O Kesef, O Meitav, Rotze Lomar, Im yesh lo Kesef, yiten Kesef, V'im ein lo, yiten Meitav, like the Ramah. Okay? Meaning, again, a hierarchy. If you have, this is Rav Huna, if you have Kesef, you must give Kesef. But if you don't have Kesef, and only if you don't have Kesef do you give Meitav. Okay? Like the Ramah says. However, we're going to change Rev Nachman's intervention here. Okay? Let's see what he says. Esave. Rev Nachman says, wait a minute. What do you do with Shavik Esvafil Subin? So Reb Huna answers him, now look what he says. Rotz lamar she'ein lo metaltalin. Az omer Reb Huna shiten meitav. Now that's the Nikudah we have to focus on. What was the Shakla Vatario? O Kesef, very good. O Kesef, O Meitav. If you don't have Kesef, you give Meitav. Came along Reb Nachman and said, wait a minute, what about Subin? He says, that's when you don't have Metaltalin. Wait a minute, what do you mean we don't know? We're talking about Metaltalin. So the way the Gra is learning, O Kesef, O Meitav, and the question is, wait a minute, what do you mean Meitav? You can give Subin. The answer is no, you can only give Meitav when you don't have Subin. That's why it's tricky here. Okay, let's read it again. Rav Huna says, "O kesef ameitav," correct? So Rav Nachman says to him, "Wait a minute. There's only meitav. When you don't have kesef, you give meitav. I know you can give subin. What do you mean? Meitav is the other alternative." So he says, "You're right. The only time you give meitav is when you don't have subin." I want you to say it over. You tell it over to me better. Okay? You hear there's only three statements here. There's the statement of Rav Huna, O kesef ameitav. There's the kasha, what do you do with subin? And there's the teretz, that's b'neislei. Right? There's only three statements. So tell me what you read the Gra to me and explain to me all those three statements.
Okay. Let me start back from
Here.
which is not from Venera.
Oops. Okay. Yeah. Venera.
Venera, Sharam Sirele de Metaltalin Harein Kesef. So he's saying, first of all, that the Rambam holds that Metaltalin is Kesef. Kamasha Kasef Sham. Vahani Kulu Kesef Nidum. Umifbaresh. Okay, so first of all, he's saying that the Rambam holds Metaltalin is Kesef.
No problem. So we got that.
One of the things. Well, enough. Good.
Now stop. I just want to predict. But he's got to get that both Kesef and Metaltalin is greater than Karka now, right? All he did was equate to Metaltalin to Kesef the first move, correct?
Right.
But we still now have to see that they're first place and Karka second. Now for that he's going to go to Rav Huna, and he's going to make Karka the second choice by reading the Gemara of Rav Huna. Okay? We're together on that?
Yes.
Good. So now you read it and you explain to me the Shaka V'Tara.
Yeah, it does. That Masham Hashem the Gemara. Rav Huna Amar I Kesef I Meitav. Vatzalim Im Yesh Lai Kesef Yitain Kesef. Ve'im Ein Lai Yitain Meitav. So he's saying Rav Huna says I Kesef I Meitav. Meaning that if he has Kesef, he has Kesef.
He must give Kesef.
He must give Kesef. That's preference number one. Then, if he doesn't have Kesef, then he has to give Meitav. Now he doesn't discuss Metaltalin, but he already said that...
That's very important. I agree with you. He has to give Meitav. What do I say? I agree with you. Meitav is a fuzzy word. Does he mean Meitav Karka? Or does he mean Meitav of everything? Okay.
Well, I don't think there is Meitav of anything else other than Karka.
Oh, now that's an interesting... I have a theory that Kesef is the Meitav of Metaltalin. But let's hold that on the side. That's my theory.
Not according to the way the Gra just said. If he said that the Rambam holds Metaltalin and Kesef are the same,
that's correct.
There is no Meitav of Metaltalin.
Correct. That means, as Reb Papa said, that call Metaltalin is Meitav. There's no such thing as no. Yes, exactly. All Metaltalin is Meitav. Very good. And Kesef is Meitav and Metaltalin is Meitav. Equation. I agree with you. Good. So when Reb Papa said, "Oh, Kesef or Meitav," it must be he's talking about Karka. Correct?
Right.
Either you give Kesef or you give Meitav Karka. Okay. Read that inside. Go ahead. Reb Papa. Read from Reb Papa. Let's just do that. That's the first statement.
So he's saying that right, so Rav Huna Amar Kesef Meitav Raslamim Yesh Lekesef Yitain Kesef Mele Yitain Meitav Kapir Shirama a53. So then we had the question from Nachman on Rav Huna that it says Yashiv the Rabbi Shavakez Afilu Subin. So Rav Huna answers Hachamayas Ginan Bidel Leslay Ratzalai Masha Ein Loi Metaltalin Az Amar Rav Huna Shayitain Meitav.
Stop.
So it sounds like he's saying that once you have the question of Yashu the Rabbi Shabbat Afilu Subin, and Rav Huna has to deal with it, so he's going to say his answer is She'ein Lo Metaltalin. That's
right.
Where he said you can make it. So
now you tell me what was the statement of Rav Huna, what was the kasha of Rav Nachman, and what was the teretz of Rav Huna. I want to hear those three statements explained according to the Gra.
according to the Gra. So Rav Huna says like Kesef and Meitav. Seemingly, in the Havamina, we thought that Kesef and Metaltalin are one and the same. And then he gives Meitav. And then Rav Nachman asks, but you forgot about Yoshev to tell you if he was Subin. In other words, if there's a special riboy to tell you that you need to include Subin, it can't be the same as Metaltalin. Metaltalin can't be the same as Kesef. Does that make any sense? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it may make sense, but I don't know if that's what he's saying. Exactly, this is the point where I want to work with you on. What is he telling him? What was the kasha? You said, oh, kesef, and if you don't have kesef, then give meitav karka. So what is Rav Nachman hacking him up with metaltalin?
Yoshev.
Well, Yoshev. What's bothering him? What's bothering him? If kesef is equal to, like if you want to say if it's kesef equals metaltalin, so what was the problem?
Right.
What was the problem? And what did he answer him? So what's going on here? What was the kasha? What was the teretz? And look at the Gra. The Gra is a very clever person. When he quotes Esve, he says etc. He doesn't say kolomar. He says etc. What do you mean etc.? That's a very important question. I don't know. What was the kasha of Rav Nachman? What was bothering Rav Nachman when he said, Yoshev l'Rabbi Shavakev's feels? So I think,
so the question is,
go ahead, please talk.
The question really is that if the Gra already, this is what's bothering me, if the Gra already learned and understood that Kesef and Metaltalin are equal, then what was Rav Nachman's question on Rav Huna? That it sounds like he's asking him, you forgot about Shavak, you forgot about Subin. So how could you say you give Kesef, and then if you don't have Kesef, you give Meitav, you forgot about Subin? That question doesn't make any sense because Subin theoretically is already included in Kesef.
Right.
Right. That's what's bothering me.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to say that maybe the question is a little bit different. Maybe the question is that if we have a special pasuk of Yoshev to tell you afilu subin, it must be that it's on a different level than metaltalin, than kesef. Because why are we saying that kesef and metaltalin are the same? It's probably a svara.
But even if you do say that, so what's the answer?
So the answer is,
what's the answer?
That hachamai sinim midlasli knows ein hachinami. That when he doesn't have kesef, then he gives meitav, but when he has subin, subin comes first. Because lamaisa, it does say Yoshev, and Yoshev has to tell you something. So his answer is, you're right. Yoshev is coming to tell you something. That's coming to tell you that subin is so does that mean, according to what I'm saying, though, it's really a whole chazara, a whole retraction, I should say, on the whole idea that kesef and metaltalin are the same.
Exactly.
Unless you want to.
And what's worse, you're going to set up the Ramah very nicely, but you're going to lose the Rambam in 1 second.
Right. Unless you want to say, like you want to say, that now we're being machadish that there are different levels of metaltalin. That subin for some reason is on its own plane. It's on its own preference. There's kesef, metaltalin, and then subin. That doesn't make any sense because you don't find that anywhere.
So maybe the question is, this reminds me of what the Rush did with the Rebbeinu Tam. Maybe the question is like this of Reb Nachman. Wait a minute. You're telling me that kesef and metaltalin are equal, right? Fine. But there's a brisa that says when it comes to metaltalin, you can give even subin, right? Now, subin is not meitav. So how come when it comes to karka, you're telling me when I don't have kesef, I have to give the best of my karka? And you're telling me, however, when I do have kesef, I can give the worst of my subin.
Right.
In other words, maybe it's more of a shayla. But then again, we have to get what's the answer. The answer is that's b'delesle. What was the answer? The answer is b'delesle.
B'delesle. So in other
That
words,
means
b'delesle
b'delesle what? B'delesle what? Spell it.
Well, the gross clearly says b'delesle, so he understood, right? Even though the gross is very short, he understood that b'delesle is not clear.
So what does he say b'delesle means? What does the gross say b'delesle means? Kolomar. Rotzalomar.
I stepped away from the computer for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Someone.
Oh, okay.
I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah, no, good. Take care of him. Good.
1 second.
No problem.
We had last night our Sudas mitzvah for our son. So for bar mitzvah.
Oh, for the bar mitzvah. Oh, that's beautiful. Baruch Hashem, Mazel Tov. She have a lot of nachos.
My wife just walked in, so she's gonna take care of him.
Okay.
Anyway, so I can get back to what.
Yeah.
So
B'makom she'eini sho.
Okay. Okay, so that means if he's saying what the she'ein lo metalpulin, that means the Gra is saying that metalpulin is subin, right? Because we're saying Yashav Shavakesef Vafilu subin, and over here we're saying the Hachmaiskim b'delesle means what where he doesn't have metalpulin, and he says the words Az Amar Rav Huna Sheitein Meitav. So it sounds like what he's really learning is that there was a retraction. Like we said before, there was a retraction from the idea that kesef and metalpulin are exactly the same. Yashav tells you that they're not exactly the same, and this that he said like kesef and meitav means that there's no metalpulin, but when there is metalpulin, there would be another step in between.
Yeah. Now that sounds very nice, but it's not going to produce the result that we want in the Rambam. The Gra is now producing. The Rambam's going to have that kesef and metalpulin are equal, and you just made them unequal again.
Right.
So that can't be what the Gra is saying.
I'm going back to the top for a second. The nearest Rambam is related to metalpulin. I mean kesef, meshukasef sham, manikulu kesef nenu. Mefarish Masha Amar Sham Rav Huna Amar Kesef Meitav Tzalaima. So as Mefarish means, the word Mefarish means that according to the Rambam, this is what you're going to explain that Gemara, to fit with the idea that metalpulin harem kesef.
And how does it sit? Now that's our problem. How does it sit?
Right. That's the problem.
O kesef, O karka. Very good. Excuse me, he doesn't say karka. He says, O kesef o meitav. That's also not good that I wrote. O kesef o meitav, he says, which means meitav karka. We'll agree with that. We'll be masking. It means you either give kesef or you give meitav karka. So comes along Rav Nachman and says, wait a minute. If you have to give meitav karka, how come you can give subin? Now, what's the answer? That's when you don't have metalpulin. What was it? It's confusing here.
So here's the alternative shot. Here's what I'm just thinking, that Rav Nachman is being medayek in the words of Rav Huna, where he says, "I kesef meitav," and his question is really not from subin per se, because you see the Gra interchanging in the answer metalpulin and subin, and the Rav Nachman is really asking more of a simple question, which is, Rav Huna, you mentioned kesef and you mentioned meitav. Why didn't you mention metalpulin? And although metalpulin and kesef have the same preference, but everybody understands that they still have somewhat of a different categorization that should have been mentioned. And that's why he's asking, why didn't you mention it? It says it in the pasuk, Yashalav Hashem kesef afilu subin. Of course I understand when I'm asking you the question that the preference would be kesef and metalpulin.
But the kasha. But what was the answer? When you don't have metalpulin, you give karka.
We just spoke about it. Of course, he's talking in the cases we doesn't have it.
Oh, just in a case where I'm talking about when he doesn't have it.
Right.
The reason why I didn't talk about it is because he didn't have it. That's how you're learning. Oh, kesef o karka. How come you didn't talk about metalpulin?
Because you didn't have it. So I don't know. It sounds like a derech terrace, right? Sounds like it's not.
It's like a balabas. It's like,
right, like about the Torah. So why did you mention you didn't have it? You know, like it's.
So it's more. It should be more of a din though. It's when you don't have it, then you give karka, as if the kasha was really from karka and not from metaltalin. In other words, the answer is when you don't have metaltalin, you give karka. What was the havamina?
Right. So what was the havamina?
That when you have metaltalin, you can give karka. That was the havamina. The havamina was when you have metaltalin, you can give karka. So maybe the havamina was that they were, in other words, maybe Reb Nachman thought that kesef wasn't equal to metaltalin. It's true, maybe it's Reb Huna that holds that kesef and metaltalin are equal from that Gemara of Yud Dalet. But maybe Reb Nachman wasn't sure about that. Maybe Reb Nachman held that, like you said, maybe metaltalin is less than kesef. And really, when you give, it should have been o kesef or metaltalin and karka. That's what Rav Nachman said to him. Wait a minute. Metaltalin is not equal to kesef. So it has to be kesef dafka. And if you don't have kesef, you can give metaltalin or karka. But he says Rav Nachman, if that's what you're saying, Rav Huna, it doesn't make sense. How can you in the same breath say that you can give metaltalin to feel subin and you have to give karka? That was a biased question. And when it comes to karka, it's meitav. So Rav Huna said, no, you got it wrong. That the only time you give karka is when you don't have metaltalin. You thought I was saying you give kesef, meaning the coins, and if you don't have coins, then you thought I was saying you give metaltalin or karka. Well, that can't be because metaltalin is not meitav. Or you might have thought that, said Reb Nachman. So the answer is no. Metaltalin is meitav, because I hold like Reb Papa, and only when you don't have metaltalin do you give karka. I don't know if I'm being 100% clear, but
right.
But we have to spell it out somewhere now to make sense of this.
Right.
Right. So again, let's just try it one more time. Rav Huna said you only have two possibilities: either coins or meitav karka. That's all. So Rav Nachman was confused. I mean, you mean coins? If you have to give coins, and if you don't have coins, then you give meitav. Well, maybe you're telling me meitav karka, and maybe and not metaltalin at all. Oh, maybe that's the kasha. Maybe it works out better that way. Maybe it works out better that way. Let's do it again. Reb Huna says, you know something? You have to give coins or meitav karka. That's all. That's all.
Right. Those are his words.
Right. So Reb Nachman says, wait a minute. That's not the only possibility. You can give metaltalin. Right? You give metaltalin. So what are you telling me? If you don't have coins, the only possibility is to give karka. It's not true. So it's a little bit like you're saying. So what is he answering? He's saying, well, you know something? I wasn't talking about metaltalin. But if you ask me, when you don't have metaltalin, I was talking about when you don't have metaltalin. I was talking about if he doesn't have metaltalin. Ain't no chanami if he has metaltalin, you can give kesef and metaltalin equally. But when I said coins or karka, I meant when he didn't have metaltalin. So you owe kesef, owe karka when you don't have metaltalin. Ain't no chanami when you have metaltalin, you can give it equal to kesef. A very dochek reading, I think, of
right, so the teretz is still the same like we were saying. It's just that, what was the kasha? The kasha was, how can you mention metaltalin? And the answer, so the case I'm talking about is we didn't have, but it's not not a right, the teretz is not a din, like we want to say. It's just,
yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, the question is, why would he talk like that? You know what I mean? Why would he talk like that? It's all very dochuk. But that's more or less, again, I say more or less because we probably have to talk about this more than less. But, okay, that's what the Gra is doing, okay? Now, according to this way of reading Rav Huna, okay, he's got kesef and metaltalin, And when you don't have metaltalin, then you give karka. And when you don't have kesef or metaltalin, you give karka, according to this reading, right? You just left that. Why'd you leave it out? Because I was talking about a case where he doesn't have metaltalin. But he has metaltalin. Metaltalin is equal to kesef. So again, he said, Reb Huna, you be the kesef or meitav karka. Reb Nachman said to him, what about metaltalin? He says, I was talking about a case where he doesn't have metaltalin. I was focusing on the fact that he has to give kesef over karka. I wasn't involving I wasn't talking about the case where he has metaltalin. That didn't interest me. That wasn't my focus. Eino chanami, if he has metaltalin, he can give it just as equal to kesef, because I hold that in the Gemara of Yudalit. But my chiddush was only to tell you that he has to give kesef first, and if he doesn't have kesef, then he has to give karka. I wasn't interested in the subject of metaltalin. Okay? Now you ask me, of course, he gives karka when you don't have metaltalin, because kesef is equal to metaltalin. But that wasn't the focus. My focus is just to tell you that karka is the second fiddle to kesef. Now you want to ask me about metaltalin? Of course, when you don't have metaltalin, you give karka. Why? Because kesef is equal to metaltalin. So that's more or less the shock of Ataria. It's like, it wasn't Reb Huna. I'm trying to make it a little sweeter in understanding. Reb Huna wanted to say that karka is only given as a second fiddle. That was his message. But Reb Nachman was interested. He didn't say that. I mean, it wasn't clear. He said, well, are you trying to eliminate metaltalin? He says, no, I'm not trying to eliminate metaltalin. I'm just not talking about it, because that wasn't my focus. That wasn't what my aim was. My aim was just to tell you that karka comes after kesef. If you ask me, so I hold like on Yudala that metaltalin is equal to kesef, and only when you don't have metaltalin do you give karka. That's fine. Okay, so that's more or less, that's the shock of Ataria. Okay? We together on that?
Yes.
Okay. So now, then he says, Peshita, okay. He says, wait, isn't it Peshita that if you don't have metaltalin you give karka? And he says, no, you might think you have to go out and sell your karka and bring kesef. Okay. The answer is you don't have to. If you don't have metaltalin, you can give karka as land, and you don't have to go cash it in. That's the shakvatar. And the Grua says this is not like Rashi. Okay? Good. Now, this is the place where we got last week, but at least we cleared up that a little better. Okay? We cleared up a little of the shakvatar better in Rav Huna. Now, the Grua says, I'm going to accomplish something by learning this way. And what I'm going to accomplish is I'm going to save Rav Huna from the kasha of the Gemara on Daf Yud. Okay? So we have a few minutes. Maybe we'll just, again, I thought, it took us time to hear that. But let's look at Daf Yud. Okay? I don't know if I have it here. No, I don't have it here. I have it over here. Wait, what did I do? What did I do? Press the wrong button. Here's Daf Yud, okay? Daf Yud has a Mishnah that says, Kol shechapti b'shmira so hiksharti es nisko. Hiksharti miksas nisko, chayafti b'tishlume nezig keheksher kol nisko. So this is anyone that's obligated to watch things. It's as if he did the damage. You can't say, well, it was only a grumma. I didn't watch my animal, and he did damage. I didn't do the damage. Like the gun laws, they want to say, the guns don't kill, people kill. Okay. Right. But, okay. But here, if you're obligated to watch something, so you're obligated, that's it, and you're obligated. That's it. Now, here's how I did, the second din. If I did ktsas nesko, then I have to pay as if I did complete damage. That's the second statement. What does that mean? The Gemara says, what does it mean if I did partial damage? I'm obligated to pay complete damage. Okay? So they make a diuk. Chafti benisko lo katani ele betishlume nisko. Oh, the problem is, what is this tashlume? By the way, the mixas nisko, the Rav Bartanura says, im tekanti uzemanti b'mixas hanezek afi shelo zemanti ve tekanti es kulo nischayavti alav keilu zemanti kulo kagon hachovo teisha b'rishus harabim ubo acher v'hishlimu le'esara v'nofal shama shor v'chamor. So what does it mean if you made a little bit of the damage, you did all of it? someone digs a bore of 9 and you add 1 tefach, and now that tefach will enable an animal to get killed when he falls in and he gets killed. So you say, well, I didn't do all of it. I did 1 tefach. What are you money me for the whole bore? He says, no, you did the critical tefach and you're chayav. That's what it means. But the Gemara is interested not on the mixas nisko problem. So what does it mean, tashlume nisko? What is that word tashlume? Just say, kol shechad b'nisko chayafti higsharti mixas nisko chayafti nisko keheksha kol nisko. What's this with tashlume? So the Gemara says, chayafti b'nisko lo el b'tashlume nisko. Tanina laho. We have a brisa. Tashlume nezik melamed shabalim metaplin b'nevela. Okay. What does it mean, tashlume nezik? It means that the baalim are metaplin b'nevela. What does that mean? So when my cow falls in your pit, right? So I have to deal with the dead cow and go sell it, and then subtract the value that I got for my dead animal from what you owe me. So say the cow is worth alive $100. I have to take my cow out of the pit, go sell it, get $10 for the nevela, and you only have to do the tashlumin, which is 90. Okay? You with me on that? So the Gemara wants to go and says, where do we get such a din? Right? And we finally get here. There's a few answers, but here we have Mahacha. V'hamesielo. The pasuk says when the shore falls in the bore, it says V'hamesielo. There we go again. The indefinite pronoun lo. Oh boy, that's the name of this sugya.
Right.
Who gets the dead animal? It says the dead animal goes to him. Who's the him? Right. The mazik or the nizak? So we have a brisa that says the him is the nizak, which is the baal, right? The baal's metapel b'nevela. There it goes. V'hamesielo means right. Nizak. Not only that, Cheskia says the same thing. V'hamesielo and the nizak. So we have a kasha. Atome l'nizak? No, maybe it means the mazik. It just lo. Lo is indefinite. Maybe it means the mesielo goes to the mazik. Amarti lo kein haya. Right. Can't be. So the Gemara says, well, what is this lo kein haya? Right? So,
right.
Omar Abaya, Isal kadaita nevela lamazik have lichtov rachmana shor tachas hashor the lishtok v'hamesia lo lamali shmami leiden nizak. Okay, I just want to see if the whole Gemara here, whether we can go here. No, I'm sorry. We can go here. So our whole problem is an indefinite article. The Mesia Lo, the text says it goes to the Nizak. We say maybe it goes to the Mazik. Omale Rev Kahana. We're going to be eliminated. I don't want to get involved in Abaya because we eliminated. Omar Rev Kahana, he's going to answer the question. How do we know Hamesia Lo means that the Baal, the Nizak, has to metapel in the Vela? He says like this. Elataima the Kasiv, excuse me. Oh boy. Okay, we can't schedule it. I'm sorry. There's no way to do it. We got to go through this whole Gemara. All right. Okay. So maybe we'll do it next week. We'll do this Gemara. Once this Gemara is very critical to us. Let's do this Gemara next week. Bezrat Hashem, we solved more or less how to read Reb Huna. Now what the Gemara is going to do is saying, according to this Gemara, we're going to have the kasha of the rush on. In other words, what he's going to say is that according to the Ramah that learned Reb Huna with a triple hierarchy, this Gemara is going to be a kasha. But the way I just learned Reb Huna, I'm going to solve that problem. So that's what the Gemara is going to gain. But let's do that next week when we could do it with Nachas, because everything here is very subtle. Right. Okay, so have a great bar mitzvah. It's a big occasion. Wish mazel tov to the wonderful bar mitzvah boy, and he has good parents and a good upbringing and a very good start in life. I mean, I'm in Gullus, because I live in Mamish the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, Yerushalayim, and and now I'm in the heart of Gullus. Wow. It's very, very difficult. I just went to this Chabad minyan. These poor guys,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they do it. I mean, they schlep people out of nooks and crannies all over the place. I don't know where they get them, you know. Yesterday we didn't have a minyan. Today, Baruch Hashem, they were able to get a minyan. But they just about can get a minyan, you know what I mean? And it's a very Jewish neighborhood, but he tells me that because they're all intellectuals here, they have no feeling for, you know what his test is? If he puts up a Jewish, an Israeli flag, Chilanim usually have some sort of relationship to it. But here they're like negative. They're so inculcated in the leftist philosophy and the Chiloni. They're goyim, mamash. I mean, in their heads, not in the neshama.
Right.
And these guys try to work and blow the flame, that little Jewish neshama, into a flame. But it's difficult. Wow.
Yeah, the Ratzin is not there. They don't have the Ratzin.
No, exactly.
By the whole liberalism and all these leftist ideas that if they were to admit for a moment that there's a Bari Olam, all those ideas have to go out the window and they have to change their entire life.
Exactly. And they're charedim to the idea, so to say. That means they're mamash. That is their philosophy, and they can't see anywhere else. But wow. Anyway.
And look at Al Mayor of New York. Look what he's pushing.
Oh, yeah. Gewalt. I told you last week. What does he do? Why did he? I don't understand. The Goyim don't do it. Why did the Jews do it? He's a Jew. Leave it alone. Look, go collect garbage. Go collect kerosene. Do something. What are you hocking a cup with Mila? You know what I mean?
No, but even not Mila. He's the one who he was a big fan also of the gay marriage.
Of gay marriage.
He was, yeah. I mean, this is. New York is he was so proud that New York is one of the first states to have the gay marriage bill, and he was out there, making sure that he's the one who's going to officiate at these marriages.
It says, so we take the Yetzer Tov and we meshabed the Yetzer Ra to it, but the Chilanim, they do just the opposite, Rachmanis.
Right.
And they're as committed as it is we are. I mean, it's crazy, and it's nuts. But that's it. Okay, Baruch Hashem.
Okay.
Baruch Hashem, I don't live here, and Baruch Hashem, you have a place there, and I hope there's a lot of extra planes in El Al and all, because we got to get back home. Yes. Okay. But you're doing I must say, Kanai Nahari, doing a great job here. I don't know how you guys do it, but you're doing a great job. I mean, look, 2,000 years we've been doing it, and it's like it becomes more and more a pella that it can happen. But Baruch Hashem, it's happening. So you should have a mamash, a wonderful bar mitzvah, and you should have a lot of nachas from him, and we should continue to learn and understand this wonderful gra.
Right.
Okay, great.
Okay, very good.
All too. Have a great day.
Okay.